Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 282, being recorded on January 1st, 2014. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And crap. Alan is still smeared with Vaseline, and not in a good way.
And Scott's here too. This is the abbreviated intro because we've been on a slight delay as we deal with Alan's problem and then our computer problem. And hey, it's 2014, guys. Did you know that? Witty banter. Come on, this is
the same thing. You didn't even have to look up the date in the lower part of your
I had to get the number
monitor.
though because of the notes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Funny, witty.
Next week is CES, and we'll be there in some form. And we're going to do podcasts most of the nights. Probably not the first night we're there, Saturday, but maybe Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the time that we will do it will be variable. So if you want to know when we go live, there's two ways you can find out about it. One, follow me on Twitter at Ryan Shrout. I will tweet out when we are going live. Or the easier way is to go to pcper.com/subscribe. Give us your name and email address, and we will send you an email 5 to 10 minutes or so before we actually go live. We don't use that email list for anything else. Josh doesn't have access to it, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. But if you want to know when we're going to go live, because it might be 7 p.m. Pacific at an early time, or it might be like 11 p.m. Pacific for a late time, depending on what is going on that particular day. So
how many computers crash?
Yeah, well, we won't be using this piece of crap computer out there. We'll be using a sweet laptop to power it all. But the good news is it'll be one camera. So we don't have any of those other issues. So pcper.com/subscribe for that. Also, if you are listening to this and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is just like a one-time special plug because we almost made it to 50,000 subscribers. At the end of 2013, we're like at 49,611 according to this page. So we're very, very close. Actually, let me see. Don't go down. So now we're at 621. We've gained 10 subscribers since the time our computer crashed the first time, and we got back now. So if you haven't done that, go to youtube.com/pcper, and you can add us there. And I don't know, that's kind of fun. And the last little note we have before we actually get started is I wanted to thank... I'm going to screw up his last name. I'm going to feel real bad now. Don Komarechka for sending me one of these books. This is a book that he actually wrote. We were emailing back and forth. He actually built one of these almost identical systems, the one we use for streaming, a dual Xeon 10-core, 20-thread, 2-processor system to do his photo editing of snowflakes. And it sounds less compelling than it actually is. Like this book's actually really cool in terms of it talks about the science of snowflakes. Like I didn't know that they came in column and tube shapes as well. But then he has just really, really cool photography of snowflakes like that that were all taken with standard camera equipment and the same black mitten apparently that acts as the background for all of these images. So it's really cool. A book. It's interesting. Teaches you about the science of the snowflake. It also teaches you how to photograph snowflakes if you want to try that. And it's a
nice coffee table book.
It is I just looked through it last night or the night before, I guess, and it's impressive to see the photography that he has in there. So it looks like it's out of stock on Amazon. It was in stock earlier today, but they should be getting some more in. Just a friend of the show, somebody who was helping out and contributing some stuff. So if you want to check that out, give it a look. It's called Sky Crystals: Unraveling the Mysteries of Snowflakes. Sky Crystals.
Snowflake. Isn't that like My Little Pony?
Snowflake sounds like the name of a My Little Pony. I go with that. Yeah. So we didn't have a podcast last week, so we have a little bit of hardware to talk about, news to talk about, and then we're going to go into some hardware of the year type discussion. So we're going to try to move through this hardware stuff relatively quickly so we can get to the part where we arbitrarily select our favorite hardware from the last year. Jeremy actually wrote an article that went up on the site on December the 19th, just before Christmas. It was called Take Me to Your Leaderboard, because Jeremy's clever with the titles. It's pretty good. It's a holiday 2013 build guides. Jeremy, what was the purpose of this particular article?
Well, we just wanted to make sure that you guys out there realize that the leaderboard is still being updated once a month or so. And seeing as how we've just sort of hit, or at least when this went up, we were just hitting the Christmas season, it made a lot of sense to sort of put up some of the best parts that we think in the 4 different budgets that we aim for, and to try and get you guys to buy it and give us filthy, filthy lucre. But
Nice.
There's 4 different systems going from the low end, where we're aiming at about $500, and is maybe not quite as powerful as a console for gaming, but certainly capable of doing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
The mid-range, we're aiming for about twice that, so just about under $1,000, which is where you start to see actual real performance and a discrete GPU that's actually going to keep you going pretty good. The high-end system is, generally where you want to be looking at if you are a PC gamer and an enthusiast, but don't have the budget to be able to afford the dream system, where
Right.
to an extent anything is good to go. I mean, I'm not going to recommend buying DDR 2333 at $1,000 a DIMM, because frankly it's not going to get you anything except for bragging rights.
Fair
But
enough.
with those 4 different systems, you've got a good solid base of all of the important components. I don't tend to recommend coolers, because there are some people who just still to this day refuse to put liquid cooling in their systems, and others who just can't believe that anyone would go with air at this day and age. So it's a very personal choice, as are the cases. Whereas I like ones which are relatively small and cat hair proof. Others prefer BMW designed L10s.
Right. It's the leaderboard was originally created for the numerous people that would come to me like, hey, what system should I build? And I would usually, what I used to say before the leaderboard existed, say, well, go read my reviews of these motherboards. And they'd be like, how about you just tell me which one to buy? This was like friends and family, as well as people, readers and people on the forums that would ask that. So we created Leaderboard as kind of that one-page look, if you don't want to go through all the details, if you don't need to know the specifics of those components you're buying, other than somebody who knows what they're talking about recommends them, this is the place to go. This article was more of a kind of a showcase for that Leaderboard topic, and so even if you don't find this article, take me to your leaderboard, you can go to pcper.com/leaderboard, and you can always see our up-to-date versions there. We just wanted to kind of promote and show that leaderboard, it's not just a tab at the top of the site, it's actually very useful. We posted a video review of the EVGA Hadron Air Mini ITX case. It's sitting on the, there's too many, we won't worry about it. It's sitting on the desk next to me, but I got too many other things sitting on this table. So it's an EVGA case, which probably should sound a little surprising to you guys, although EVGA has gotten into, they were originally just graphics card, then they got into motherboards, they got into power supplies. What else did they do? They did display, they did displays, right? They did that like double-sided display at one point. I don't know if it actually ever came out. What else did they do? They did they had like the external USB display adapters. So they're trying to diversify in some other things. They now have the Tegra Note 7 as part of their product line. So the Hadron case is it's a mini ITX design. I actually really, really like the look and styling of it. The high gloss front. It's got if we look over here up top, you can see it's got good air ventilation. There's 2 included fans. The window is pretty nice, although we have had some complaints in the comments about the fact that, this USB 3 header cable is bright blue and sticks out, and, because there's no room behind the motherboard, you kind of see all these cables, which is true. It's just when you build mini ITX designs, there are sacrifices you have to make. There's a slot loading optical drive bay on the back, or I'm sorry, on the side, which I like. It's still accessible from the front, but it doesn't kind of ruin the face of the case. You've got your USB 3, you've got your other stuff down there, and it will still hold a full-size dual-slot graphics card. Obviously, it doesn't have to be an EVGA card, but they would like it to be an EVGA card, and it will fit up to like GTX 780 Ti in terms of length, and maybe a little bit beyond that. And then the power supply that's included is a 500-watt 1U power supply. I don't know if I have a very good picture of it in here. We'd probably do in the video, but It's mounted here at the bottom, and if you've paid attention to any of our kind of mini ITX case reviews in the past, you can see it right here. This fan tends to be like the most annoying thing in the world in terms of noise levels. It's really crappy, but in this case, they actually did a really good job of like I don't know what they did, if they convinced them to use a different fan or they integrated a different controller design, but it's nice and quiet, so that's definitely a plus. Let's see. What else
The fan is definitely electric.
We're getting a little bit of noise from somebody there.
Is it Alan or Michelle?
It was Alan. Was that Alan trying to call me? No. Hold on, we're gonna adjust Alan's audio here in real time. I guess he disconnected and we recalled. Oh, really? Yeah.
I thought you were showing off the noise the fan made.
Yeah, I was thinking, wow, he's putting the microphone right up there.
No. That's just auto-gaining audio on some Skype iteration, whether or not it's us or Alan or somebody. So, Alan, you're still there, right?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Do I sound normal?
Sound okay?
Now you do.
You don't sound like you're in the wind tunnel anymore. The only problem I would say that the Hadron case has is it's kind of expensive. It's $179. That does include the power supply, so it's not outrageous. And most of the time when you're buying mini ITX-based products, whether it's motherboards or cases or coolers, you're going to pay a little premium for that engineering that goes along in kind of making things small and compact. So, it's a somewhat expensive starting, but the fact that you can build a mini ITX system with like a high-end Haswell processor in it and a GTX 780 Ti, you can get like one of the best gaming rigs in a pretty small space. Something that will not fit in this case is the Seasonic S12G Series 750 watt power supply. Lee wrote up a review of this power supply, available in 450, 550, 650, and 750 watt iterations. It is 80 plus gold certified, and if you know anything about power supplies, you know that Seasonic usually is known as making the best around, and that's why they are also the contract manufacturer for so many power supplies and the likes. It did get a gold award. Minor weaknesses, no modular cables. So it's got a 5-year warranty, good efficiency, a good overall power supply, it appears. So another good series launch from Seasonic. Maury also posted a review of the Phanteks, Phanteks, like all the elite speak lettering you could hope to have. Phanteks PHTC12DX CPU cooler. It's got a neat color scheme. It's a large heatsink. Maury's a fan of large heatsinks. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but
And water blocks.
Yeah. Maury likes his motherboards and his cooling solutions, right? It looks like it's actually smaller than the what's the brand of the one he uses in all of his motherboard reviews, where it's like the huge Noctua. That's what it is. So this is smaller than that. It actually looks like it doesn't even go over the DIMM modules, the DIMMs on this particular motherboard design. So. That's a plus, I guess.
So he's not overcompensating in this case?
Not in this particular instance, right? A lot of mounting hardware. I would, still got to get behind the motherboard to get it.
So
in
this case, less is Maury?
This conversation's going downhill fast on both sides.
Man. How did it perform? Let's look at that real quick. Let's see. It was beat out the Corsair H100 under load, which is impressive. Did not beat the Thermalright Silver Arrow SBE Extreme. So pretty good results. He does overclocking testing, does fan noise testing. So you can check all that out and the full review as well. What else do we have? Oh yeah, I posted a review of a video card. We have this. This is the Sapphire Radeon 290X Tri-X. Tri meaning three fans, X meaning fan? I don't know. So this is the second...
Are you sure it's not pronounced Trix?
I hope not. It's got a hyphen in it.
How about Tri-X?
Well, their overclocking software is called Trix. TRIXX. So I'm going to go with Tri-X. I don't know. If you look at the back, you can see that the cooler extends well past the PCB here. This is the second custom R9 290X card we've had in stock. This is actually the same PCB that the reference card uses, as far as I can tell. I'm not 100% sure, but looking at everything up close, I think it's the identical PCB that we have on the reference card. But it is obviously a beefier and very different cooler. And the end result to this is that it runs at overclock speeds. Out of the box, it's 1,040 megahertz. And it actually hits those speeds, like continuously over a long period of time, right? So that makes it a good comparison to the Asus DC2 right here. So we've got both of those here. So these are both 290X cards. You can see the Asus card is like kind of taller. The heatsink on it, the heatsink on it goes over the height of the PCB, but it's a little bit shorter.
And it's got stickers you can swap out.
It's got stickers. You can make it yellow or gold. This one, strictly gold. Strictly gold. So minus 5 points. You know, both of these perform very, very similarly in terms of noise performance, cooling performance. I think the Sapphire card, I guess I can go to that page here. If we go to the second page of the review, so, you know, the first graph here shows you the difference. So the yellow line is the Sapphire card. The yellow line is the Asus card. The red line is the Sapphire card. And you can see that these little blips down are when like the map changes. So that's not a problem. But the clock speed is staying consistent for like 25-minute periods, which if you look at the green and blue lines was definitely not the case. So again, if you look at the blue and red, the Asus and the Sapphire are very comparable in that graph. Fan speeds, but more importantly, sound levels. And this Sapphire Tri-X card is actually even 1 dBA lower in noise levels than the Asus DirectCU2 card. And temperature was a little bit lower too, under full load, hitting 74C instead of 77C. So it's all good. Performance, you know, now that you're taking a GPU and running it at 1,040 continuously as opposed to an average of like 900, right? You're getting a pretty good performance boost out of the card compared to the reference designs. So it's a good deal. Like, again, just like with the Asus card, this Sapphire card proves that the 290X and the 290 can be like completely problem-free cards. Yeah, thanks. But the issue is you can't find them still. So Asus said that it was going to be mid-January before we could see the DC2 model. Sapphire apparently had this for sale on Newegg last week, but like in very limited. I never even saw it in stock. I don't even know if it actually was in stock, but it has a listing on Newegg. Theirs is going to be $50 more than the reference setup, which is... Asus only wants $20 over it. So if both were in stock, obviously I would probably recommend the Asus card. But if like the Sapphire is in stock, we don't know when the Asus is going to become in stock, then the $50 price variance there might be worth it. And it definitely makes the 290X, even at $599, very competitive with the 780 Ti at $699 from NVIDIA. And performance-wise, we're looking at the Tri-X card being faster in a couple of games, being a little bit slower in a couple of games, and tying a couple of games in our benchmark suite. So it's still a...
Is this going to be a popular card with the miners? And I'm not talking people under 18.
ER.
It actually took me longer than I want to admit to figure out what the joke was about underage children. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to want to pay a premium for it because I don't think the additional clock speed gets them that much more. Right? Yeah, if unless they're like Bitcoin miners that worry about noise levels, then maybe they'd worry about it. But if you're a crazy Bitcoin miner, you probably don't care about noise levels. Yeah, but then again,
how many 290Xs are actually available right now, whether they're reference or non?
Right. Well, yes, if this is the only 290X in stock, they'll buy it. Okay? But if it's this or the reference ones, I think they would pick the reference ones, save $50, because that adds however much time it is to your, recuperation of value. And they don't really care about noise, and they can if they crank that fan up, they can get 1,000 megahertz out of those GPUs if they want to. So
I'm more concerned about overclocking.
Yeah.
I saw you got up to like what 1,200 megahertz.
So
I'm wondering a bit, like how high do you think it actually can go, like as a silicon, if you have cooling no option?
So it wasn't able. So I overclocked it to 1225, which was significantly higher than the Asus card, but it was not able to stay at 1225. We had some of that clock variance come back into play, which was kind of like the original intent of AMD's PowerTune technology. It just wasn't supposed to be for like a default card stock out of the box, but for like overclocking and stuff. So even though with the Asus card we were only able to hit 1150, and this one says 1225, it's a little bit closer than that, because at 1150 the Asus card was flat, like it was able to stay at 1150 without any problems. Here with this card 1225, it dipped down quite a bit, close to 1100 in several instances. As you can see here, the green line is kind of like the overclock setting. Looks like it averaged over that like 400 to 500 second time period about 1214 megahertz, I guess, which is still pretty damn good. I think we're pretty close to the maximum of what you're going to see with air cooling on this GPU. Because this is also, again, if you look at this screenshot, this is with the maximum VDDC offset of 200 millivolts. So we're adding a lot of power to this GPU. I think we're up to like 1.29 or 1.28 volts. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But it was high. It was high. And next week we'll talk about some other stuff. Probably during one of our CES maybe it's the first podcast we don't have much to talk about, because we'll have a little story up on the NZXT Kraken G10, which allows you to use a water cooler on a 290 card, and we did some overclocking with that too. So
nice.
It's an interesting scenario, because I think we're pretty close to the maximum level that you're going to get out of these chips. But it's so obvious now that using the Asus card and the Sapphire card, how much better the launch of these cards, of these chips from AMD could have been had the right cooling solution been used. Right, we wouldn't have any of the concerns over the frame variance and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into it again, but the Sapphire card again shows the same thing. And I had some people ask in the comments to this review, we're going to do 290 articles, and yes, we're waiting on a couple of the non-290X variants, just the 290 variants, and we should have those in too. But I expect them to act in the exact same way, right? Because they're the exact same piece of silicon almost. They had the exact same issues, except that their fans defaulted to much louder. So the benefit to going to a new cooler will actually be better with the 290 than it is for the 290X. So stay on the lookout for those. Yeah, I mean, just keep checking around if you're interested in those cards. It makes them easily recommendable products for high-end gamers, people who are willing to spend that kind of money. People who aren't willing to spend a lot of money, though, may be interested in our $50 IKEA standing desk mod that we did this week as well. So this was, I don't know, I had been wanting a standing desk for a long time, and I didn't want to pay for one. So we kind of
downloaded it, didn't you?
We downloaded it and printed it out. Ken actually, I think Ken found it actually. It was like a tutorial on a website that said, here's how you can take some IKEA stuff and hack it together and make a crude, mostly functional standing desk. And it actually works okay, except that it's not a motorized, adjustable standing desk. You have to move your monitors up onto it and leave it there, or move it down, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So we did this video that kind of shows what parts you need, how to build it. We do some speed motion installation here. Those, you're using basically an IKEA lack table. I was using a coffee table because we have two monitors. You get a couple of brackets, and then you get one shelf, and you put it all together, and essentially that is your entire desk. You put it on top of your existing desk, right? So much like in this shot of the video, you have your table, you have your desk. Let's go ahead and fast forward here to the end, where here's my standard glass desk that is also IKEA made, with the coffee table on top of it, a shelf, and these arms that hold it on. The downside is obviously it's not adjustable. Obviously you're bolting these the arms to the shelf, arms for the shelf onto the table, and they're not adjustable, so you kind of need to be careful on how you measure and where you want your keyboard and mouse to actually sit. Otherwise, you're going to be re-drilling holes and maybe using the other side of it. That's actually a good idea. You can actually rotate it 180 degrees to have two different levels if you wanted to drill two sets of holes in it. I don't know.
Did you get a mat or something to stand on? Or do you just have really nice shoes?
So the first day and a half I was using, I did not have a mat. I ordered one. It came in. I forget what brand it was, but ordered it off Amazon. It was like $60 for a high-end, kind of like what we got good ratings, good quality standing mat, and it seems to make a pretty big difference. You know, I'm only. When did we build that? Friday. Monday. What's today?
Friday.
We built it Friday. Today's Wednesday, and obviously I wasn't really here much on the weekend. You know, I think the general rule for like a standing desk is you were supposed to kind of like work your way into it, like sit for an hour, stand for an hour, sit for an hour, stand for an hour, or whatever it is. But the way this is, it's kind of a pain in the ass to convert it back because you have to like move the desk out, carefully set these monitors on the table behind it, move the keyboard and mouse, and then find some place to put the shelf in your office. That I've just kind of been standing and like as of like right now it's 11 p.m. And my back is pretty tired and pretty sore from standing the whole day, writing and doing all the stuff that I would normally do. So I probably jumped into it a little bit too much as opposed to gradually going into the idea of a standing desk. But you know, what are you going to do? For $50 as opposed to the size of the desk that I have now from something like Versatables being $1,400 with a motor and a button. So that's what we got. All right, I'm going to try to go through these news stories real quick. You ready? Rapid fire, guys? Steam is having a holiday sale, and it's almost over. You probably missed it. If you're listening to this now, you probably missed it. Sorry. They had good deals, like BioShock Infinite for $7.99 last night. I guess that's all. I guess that's what I'm going to say. Hurry up and check Steam. In the vein of R9 290 290X, MSI announced their custom versions, the 290 290X gaming cards. I don't have them in here. I don't have a review. Don't have performance implications or fan speeds or noise levels or anything like that, other than to say that they're going to run at up to 1040 megahertz. But they're going to have like 3 modes. I don't know if this is a BIOS switch or if it's like something in software. Silent mode runs at 1000 megahertz, gaming mode at 1030, and OC mode at 1040, which I can't imagine that even in marketing speak, you could somehow justify that like a 10 megahertz increase is somehow more, it's like valuable enough to create a secondary or tertiary position for a card. I don't know. But the MSI gaming series of graphics cards, I know, I think you've used a couple of them, right, Josh? And I've used at least one. The coolers are nice, you know. They do a good job. They're definitely going to be better than whatever the reference cooler is on those parts. So they say, let's see, according to this, they're not available on Newegg or Amazon yet, but according to Scott's post here, NCIX claims it will be arriving on February 26th.
That's a long time away.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like $700.
Yeah, it may be a placeholder, but
I'm hoping.
Yeah, we'll see. So MSI has their parts coming out. All good news there. If you have an NVIDIA Tegra Note 7, there was an OTA update to enable always-on HDR for photography. Yeah. And then they enabled hardware video stabilization for video recording, and they updated it to Android 4.3. So if you have one of those devices, there's a pretty nice OTA update. But chances are, if you have one of these devices, this news was posted on December 26th, so you probably already have it.
Verizon finally got their Galaxy S3 OTA 4.3 over.
Really? They still update the S3, huh?
Kind of slow.
Oh, really?
On my machine, yeah. It takes a little bit to
just in
wake
time
up.
for CES. Great.
But I tell you what, the battery life is better.
Is it?
It is.
I would probably make that trade.
We're going to see us and learn all about the Galaxy S5.
Yeah, exactly. The Tegra Note stylus was updated as well. Add support for left-handed users. There you go.
Yeah, who likes for left-handed users, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like redheads.
Yeah, they shouldn't even allow those guys to use that stuff. Yeah. If you are an AMD user that loves Battlefield 4 and you're waiting for the Mantle update to come out in December as promised, it's January and it's not out. And on December 30th, AMD came out with an official statement that says, after much consideration, the decision was made to delay the Mantle patch for Battlefield 4. AMD continues to support DICE on the public introduction of Mantle, and we are tremendously excited about the coming release for Battlefield 4. We are now targeting a January release, and we'll have more information to share in the new year. All right, I'm going to give... what odds will you give me, Josh?
Okay.
On
Mantle
not
coming out in January?
of not January.
I don't think it's going to come out in January. I think Battlefield 4 has enough issues as is that people are pretty cranky about.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty well known that the nice people at DICE have pulled everybody else off of all other projects to fix the issues that they are currently experiencing. And these issues do not get solved overnight. So I would guess February. February. How do you spell that damn thing? Anyway?
February. February. $5 footlongs.
It's like I'm talking in slow motion. February. I would say by the 17th.
Wow,
we'll
that's
hear
a very
something.
specific date. Why the 17th?
We'll hear if it's going to be released anytime soon by the 17th.
To be completely clear, like, I support the decision by EA to fix the game rather than release a new feature that will have its own sets of bugs that have to be worked out, right? I think that makes sense. It's not AMD's fault, I don't think, right? Maybe,
and it's not the primary push of the game.
It shouldn't be.
The game,
yes,
is the primary push, and if you've got a broken
game functioning,
it doesn't care how many bells and whistles you got on there.
Correct.
It's still broken.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not exactly broken, but anyway.
So
actually, it's one of the better Battlefield launches I've had. Battlefield 3 was terrible for me.
This is apparently the worst that anybody's ever seen ever.
Ever.
I actually do think it'll come out in January. Again, me versus Josh, I guess. But it seems to me like they're going to want to push that out before, and give it a little bit of time before GDC comes. So I'm guessing they'd want to get it out probably late January, but it'd probably be before February.
GDC's in March?
GDC's in March, but they probably want to leave it out for a little bit.
I'm saying March.
Yeah, I don't see it coming out in January at all.
So I say January, Josh says February, and Ryan says March.
I think what would be funny to me is if they do the same thing they did with the pacing patch, where it came out August 1st. It was promised in June, right, or July, and it came out August 1st. Right? Maybe they do this. They somehow release it July or January 31st or something like that. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Like I said, it's not AMD's fault, but I think it's the right decision by EA and DICE to fix the game first and then introduce a new feature that, a portion of the audience will take advantage of. A portion of the audience that even has AMD cards will never care about, never install. So, there you go. It's unfortunate. It sucks. Sucks for AMD when their stuff, when they're all the carefully laid plans, right?
We've pushed so hard.
Yeah.
And the last question I have for you guys is going to be, what do you think the Mantle update is going to actually take care of? Is it going to give more performance on the APU low end? Is that what they're going to focus on? Or are they going to focus on adding a lot more objects in scene?
I don't think they're going to add any more objects.
I think it's just going to run faster.
Yeah. I hope it runs.
Period.
Yeah, I think it's just going to run faster. They're not going to. I don't think they'll add any more detail to it. But I don't know. I think it will help. I think because of that, it will help more on the low end side. APUs, for example. Wink. Right. we'll see a bigger advantage than if you have a high-end GPU already.
Yeah, we might be seeing something about that next week.
Because I mean, I don't think that's because I mean when you increase the resolution, it seems like its scales pretty linearly. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you would be draw call bound, you would not see as sharp of a increase as you jump the resolution, right?
It really depends on the pixel fill rate and shader fill rate, shader ability. So
yeah, throughput of the
because draw calls are. I mean,
draw calls are typically just like hurdles in front of a racetrack, right? They can sprint down a 100-meter race, but
all right.
Anyhow.
That's all the news over the last 2 weeks. Sorry if I skipped over something that you guys thought were important. We're moving on. So I don't really remember how we did this, but we're going to do it this way. I'm just going to. So what we kind of sometimes do is we have this thing where we're like, hey, what was the best hardware? Like it's the PC. It's the Oscars of PC perspective, right?
Of course you've said that I can't submit the Hitachi Magic Wand again this year.
No, again, it has to have been released this year, not just used by you this year.
Fine. Release out of it.
Those are the rules. Those are the rules. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have some random categories. I'll bring up some parts, and then we will discuss them as a group and decide which is the winner and if there are runners-up. All right, we're going to start with probably the most popular selection, graphics cards. And it's an interesting year because there weren't a whole lot of new video cards released, but there were some price drops, and then there were some rebrands, right? So on the list that I put down, I had the Hawaii GPUs, the 290X and the 290, the NVIDIA GTX Titan, and the NVIDIA GTX 780 and 780 Ti. Now you guys, Scott in particular, added the 270X 270 and the GTX 760. And I posit to you, do we consider it for best GPU of 2013, even though we know that the R9 270X is just a 7870?
Correct.
Is that what it is? Yeah. And the 270 is I guess that's actually a new one because it's a 7870 minus a
No,
little.
That's a 7850.
Oh, it's a 7850. I thought it was between the 7850 and 7870.
No.
Nope.
Okay, so considering that and then the GTX 760, is that a new GPU?
No.
No.
No, that's
a GK104 part,
Bonaire.
right? Yeah. No, the 760, GTX 760.
Yeah, it's basically a 60.
Oh, GTX 760, yeah. That's,
So
sorry.
do we consider those for best graphics card of 2013?
Let me posit this.
I already used that word.
Too lad. I've been thinking about that for hours because I was going to posit this for a while.
Okay, pause it.
The R9 series in general, because they dropped graphics prices so significantly that NVIDIA had to react, and everybody is getting graphics cards for much cheaper than they were 5 months ago.
Yeah. So you're trying to say that makes them eligible for best graphics card?
Sure, because you know what? If you wanted a GTX 770 before the R9 290, 290X came out, you're going to have to pony up another $120.
Yeah. We do have a category a little bit further down of best price drop of 2013.
Yeah.
Right? Which SSDs won last year, runner-up memory. And I don't care if we include it here, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Well, let's do that one later then, because in this case it would be the 290X because it really improved performance. It cut down the price. It chopped the price on everything, and it was fixed with better cooling finally, even though you can't buy it.
So do you reward the 290 and 290X because the partners have fixed it? Or do you say AMD kind of pooched the launch by releasing the product with all the issues that they did, kind of denying the issues, then kind of falling back and not really, fixing it and then fixing it again, that kind of thing?
Well, let's look at this.
I don't really have
this
a
way.
lot of alternatives because the Titan is a bad card.
Is it engineering versus marketing in this case?
I don't know. I mean, obviously they had their internal fight and one of them lost, right? So I think the 290X reference product is it's not a great solution. I think things like the Sapphire and the Asus 290 and 290X cards are good solutions when you can find them for the price they're supposed to be sold for. They offer great performance, great acoustics, great other things like cooling.
The
things.
But then also the 290X and the 290, you can, using stuff now, pull the cooler off and put your own on.
You can. Yeah.
Does that count towards best of, right? I mean, I know last year we had the exact same problem where we had no definition of what best of was by the time the end of the podcast.
Correct.
But
and I kind of wanted it to be that way. It should be a discussion of just what is good. But I mean, you got to look at the alternatives here. The GTX Titan should not win this. It's a fantastic piece of engineering, but it was overpriced when it launched for gamers. Yep. It's still overpriced, and it was overtaken by a cheaper part from the same company, right? And then you got the 780 and the 780 Ti. The 780 has now dropped to what, $499?
Yeah.
780 Ti $699. I think that's probably a little bit. I think that's too much for us for the performance benefits you get from it. So for me, the best card from NVIDIA is the base 780. And then you got to say,
what really blows? I got to tell you, this really blows. The R9 280X at $299 would be a fantastic card. There's so many variations of that with great cooling, great overclocking potential. But you know what? You can't find one at $299.
That's
the cheapest you're going to do is $419. And so,
holy crap!
Yep.
Otherwise, that would kind of be a slam dunk. Yes, it's a refresh. However, they have mature and excellent cooling solutions for them. They've got excellent, non-reference PCB designs and component choices.
The GPU also turned 2 years old like this week.
Yes, you're right. It did.
That's not a good thing.
So the cheapest R9 280X on Newegg is $399, which is $100 over the MSRP, right? What we launched at, what we reviewed at, which is crappy. And so now the other question is, do you take into account price gouging by Newegg into the awards that we want to give?
Yeah, because
you kind of have to.
AMD is not producing enough cards to meet demand, and so Newegg and everybody else is price gouging.
They can't produce enough 2-year-old GPUs to keep up with the demand.
I don't understand, so that blows.
There's a surprising number of these in stock. XFX, Diamond, Asus, Power Color, Gigabyte. Yeah, but I mean, it's even worse if you go to Amazon, right? Like if you go to Amazon, it's going to be even higher than that. $391.
Like, why would you buy a 280X right now unless you're trying to mine? I don't see any reason to buy it.
So what would you buy instead of a 280X? You get a GTX 770?
Yeah, you can get a nice cooler one for $350.
Yeah.
Overclocked.
I would just say screw it and get a GTX 780 because that's currently my favorite video card in terms of overall performance, acoustics.
Yeah, the price difference you get.
Consumption.
The price difference between a base 780 and the overpriced 280Xs today versus the performance difference you get is a pretty compelling option.
Yeah, but I would put a 780 in my machine probably if I was buying a card right now, but it's not the best GPU of the year.
What is?
Well, I guess GK110 came out this year, so
yeah,
the whole since the Titan didn't come out last year, then it's still
Titan came out this year. Early this year.
Because if the Titan came out last year, then the 780 wouldn't be impressive this year as a whole, because it's just
it still would be, right? Because remember, Titan was launched at $1,000, and 780 launched at $549.
No.
Oh, the original 780 was up in the $650, $699 range.
Okay, now it's $499.
Yeah, and also consider with the 780, you get the the GeForce Experience with what, Shadowplay? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
And all the other little extra
Potential support for G-Sync.
Mm-hmm.
Not potential support. Support.
Well, yeah, you get G-Sync support when those monitors actually become available. I tell you, I'm looking at this list and I lean towards the 780 being the winner, and Hawaii being like runner-up with non-reference cooling.
I mean, if they had had the non-reference cooling in September when they released it, we would probably be having an entirely different discussion.
Yeah, I think that's the case because I don't want to, and 280X would be a good card if it were $299, and we could have a better discussion about whether or not it deserves to win, even though it's 2 years old. But because of its overpriced nature, it's not AMD's fault necessarily. Kind of is because they're not making enough, but we won't get into that issue. It's tough. So, what do you guys think about the GTX 780 and then 290 the Hawaii with non-ref?
I'll even go one further and say the 290X isn't a very good card because the 290 at MSRP is priced so competitively that there's no reason to buy 290X.
That's fair.
So
R290 over saying both Hawaii and 290 290X,
because the 290X is stupid at MSRP, or well, even gouge prices. But
yeah, I'd agree with that.
So GTX 780 it is?
Yep.
I think so.
I agree.
Okay. All right, there you are, winners. GTX 780, runner-up R9 290 with non-reference coolers, close to retail price, close to MSRP. We gotta have all those. Gotta have those modifiers on there. Yeah. All right, now this one's a little bit more interesting. How about the best CPU of 2013? We have our Haswell processors, like the 4770K, the 4570K. The difference there being one has hyperthreading, one doesn't.
Wait, isn't it the 4670?
Is it the 4670K? Yeah, I think you're right. We have the Ivy Bridge E releases of like the 4960K.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, 4960X or the 4820. We have AMD's A10 6800K Richland APU, AMD Kabini and Tamash APUs. We have Intel Bay Trail SoC. And I threw on here the Apple A7 and the NVIDIA Tegra 4.
Should we just start eliminating stuff?
We can start eliminating stuff. So I think the Tegra 4 is great part that has no support from anything other than NVIDIA's own products, really.
Replace 3 with 4, and that's...
Yeah.
We could have had this discussion last year.
So we can't just make this category like what's the best performing one, because the Haswell E wins that, right? But performance has to be a portion of the... I'm sorry, Ivy Bridge E has to be that.
Yeah, but if you want a graphics performance, then the 6800K is the best all-around graphics solution, really.
It is the best integrated graphics solution.
Because there's no Iris Pro that you can buy.
No.
But then basically by the time this podcast comes out, Converi's going to be around, so it's like...
No,
it's a little further than that.
It's a little further than that, but yeah, I mean, it's... Again, this is for 2013.
2013?
Yeah. I hesitate to really want to pick like a Haswell part because so little changed from Ivy Bridge E, either on CPU or GPU. Like the GPU side was a little bit faster, but not much, and it could have been a lot better had they released an Iris Pro iteration of that part. But then again, Richland wasn't that much better than Trinity either, right? These were both...
Yeah, it was like one bin up in terms of...
Yeah, but both of these parts were very iterative. Ivy Bridge E was like the most iterative you could possibly have. I like Bay Trail.
That'd be my vote.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like... I hate to say this. This is totally out of character for me. But
the A7 for Josh.
What Apple has done with the A7.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the first 64-bit ARM processor out, and it does pretty good.
It does. I agree. That's why I put it on here.
I have a comment on that, though.
Mm-hmm.
If my audio is active.
We hear you. We got you.
Once I find your button, because I haven't switched you on that.
Loud but not clear. Today's video.
Hello, Alan. You're on this podcast?
This thing gets pretty hot.
No,
Just
it
saying.
doesn't.
It gets hot?
Yeah, it does. Like, I'm talking hot to the touch, like especially right over where the CPU sits in the back. And I'm not using a case that covers the back either.
Actually, no, it does get a little
Does it
warm.
get hot?
It does get a little warm.
It depends. Now it depends on what you're doing. I mean, you have to be
But you're
doing
in
something
Texas.
that's actually taxing it. But
Right.
but if you are, it's like noticeably.
I would say I would posit though that again that word it doesn't matter to me if it really gets like unless it gets like really really uncomfortably hot.
No, it's
I don't
fine.
care if it
Like
gets I don't
burning
care
your
if it gets
lap and
hot
scrotum.
as long as the battery life is still good.
Battery life is
because
fine.
my
that's good.
the general thing it gets hot would be that it's using too much power and therefore it's inefficient and it's going to cause some problems. So I don't have an iPhone 5S and that's currently the only place you can get this A7,
no, you
right?
have one.
Oh,
in
my
your
iPad Air has one?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I don't use my iPad Air enough to tell you if it's a good processor.
Kabini and Tamash are interesting because they've integrated GCN. However, how many products?
They're not very
utilize
good
those.
products. Like what did I buy? I paid actual American dollars for an HP
11-inch
laptop that uses a Kabini part in it, and I don't like it. Right? I bought it because we had to include it with our Bay Trail review, and Bay Trail kind of wiped it. This is the Asus T100 Bay Trail machine. Alan used this for a little bit when you were here. I mean,
I did. I liked it.
It's an impressive processor. It doesn't have 64-bit support built into it yet, but it was surprisingly snappy. I think what it does well is it took away the need for Windows RT.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crappy.
But it didn't feel like it was having a hard time running full-blown Windows either. I mean,
Correct.
things were opening pretty quick, and I was launching pretty decent apps, not just like silly built-in Windows stuff. And it was good. Perfectly reasonable.
It plays Hearthstone. I know that. It does play that. I think it's between Bay Trail and the A7. And I would lean towards Bay Trail only because that is where my experience lies the most. I feel like it's easier for us to demonstrate usability improvements with Bay Trail over previous Atom iterations.
Well,
than
and
I
also
can with an
Intel
iPhone
finally
or an
pulled
iPad.
their head out of their nether regions and utilized their cutting edge process technology on a mobile chip instead of just doing
That's true.
N+1.
Yep.
With what they've done from Atoms.
Bay
since
Trail is the
beginning.
first one that they've gone transistor level parity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Bay Trail wins followed by A7.
The biggest issue
Francois is
with,
going to be so happy. So happy.
the biggest issue with Bay Trail is they named it the Atom.
Yeah,
So now you have to tell people, oh, it's an Atom part that doesn't suck.
right. I wish they had picked a different name for it other than Atom, but I guess it doesn't
Nano is
matter.
already taken. Molecule is too long.
Is Nano really taken? Come
How about
on.
Quark?
Quark is
Quark
not
is,
on the list of best CPUs. Also, it didn't come out.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, wait, that's right. Quark is.
It's
and
shipping
Intel.
right now.
Oh, you can get those little
and in the
development boards
Arduino,
on
it's
it,
shipping right now.
Yeah. All right, so there's our best CPU, Bay Trail. Congratulations, Francois. And followed up by A7. Congratulations, Apple.
I
I'm
do
sure they
gotta
all
say
listen to
though
this.
that I am kind of interested in what they're going to be doing with the Silvermont architecture going forward. They got a lot of plans for it in some places that are.
I'll be
really
curious how long it's
easy.
around. I think it will go into Quark size stuff, while stuff like what's after Haswell? What's the next one? Broadwell.
Yeah, that.
As Broadwell gets, I think as the core based ones will actually come lower and lower and find their way into devices like
But
this. So.
The weird thing is, and we were going to talk about this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, is their Xeon Phi processor that they're going to make in 2015. The rumor has it, pretty solid rumor apparently, is that they're going to be basing it off of 72 Silvermont cores, that with 512 with registers. So they're basically going to be making a GPU that can't do graphics work out of
Nice.
a crap ton of atoms. It's bootable.
Bootable.
So, yeah.
Wait. So wow. Oh no, Fusion IO isn't making it.
Yeah, I guess
Yeesh.
not, no.
That joke
But
is
also
really
then
good.
it's
Speaking of storage, let's get into our best storage of 2013. Best storage of 2013, and there's not a lot of options on this list. I almost didn't have this category.
Wait. We're forgetting one. Go ahead though.
Which one?
4 terabyte hard drives.
4 terabyte hard drives.
They've been out for longer than that.
Well,
Have they?
4 terabyte drives come out in 2012.
Oh, my video is frozen. How nice.
They did, but I mean that was when they were. I think it was Seagate was like, we have most of our production recovered, and
didn't you have
4 terabyte hard drive?
Didn't you have to buy an external hard drive and rip it out of it?
That's called shucking, and
so the Western Digital RE RAID edition 4 terabytes came out in October 2012. The Red 4 terabyte came out in September.
We can put that on the
2013.
list because the Red's a really good product.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, they kind of unscrewed the entire Red series with the latest ones. Latency improved dramatically.
So if we add that to our list, we have the Samsung 840 EVO, the Western Digital Black 2 hybrid drive, 840 EVO MSATA.
They have a terabyte capacity in MSATA now.
Okay, I think I saw that
impressive.
just today. And Western Digital Red 4 terabyte. So I think EVO has to win this.
What's the EVO this year?
yeah, the 840 Evo.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not that it was this year. It's that it was crushing everybody in the pricing.
Well, I think it came out this year.
And not like that, but the
Well,
software
it was
and
early this year.
the storage solution that's behind why it is as quick as it is with crappy TLC.
Well, it's not really crappy TLC.
Okay,
I mean,
but
TLC is slow, sure, but then they have an SLC cache in there, so it's just sort of negates it.
So I'm going to put my fanboy hat on and say there's a company shipping PCIe SSDs in a lot of computers right now.
Samsung.
OCZ?
Apple.
But they're Samsung PCIe
Well,
SSD.
no, they're also Marvell because mine has a Marvell in it. But
True.
So you're saying PCIe SSD?
it's a pretty good trend to have in.
It's a trend. Is it I don't know if I have a specific product. I mean, I guess we can add it up to that.
Apple's crappy proprietary M.2 form factor.
Yeah.
That's part of what the issue is that it's proprietary, and the only way you're going to get it is in an Apple.
Yeah,
kind of
but
Although last year
like
we had more abstract categories. So I mean, even, like if we say all PCIe SSDs, that would still be just about as abstract we used for last year.
The good thing about this is that Samsung is making these PCIe controllers in bulk now because they're selling them to Apple. So eventually, when I don't know why M.2 drives aren't out right now, but when they come out, we will have
I think the PCIe SSD didn't come out this year. Like I don't feel like it came out this year.
It did in that size form factor,
right? But I mean, for us to buy.
And what's so annoying about all that is that like you have SATA Express and all this other stuff is trying to jam PCI over SATA and all these other things. Just take like the Samsung PCIe controller and stick it on a just regular PCIe card. People will use it. It's like they'll just plug it into their PC and have a good SSD, right?
See, but Apple pushing this forward may just help that.
Just like it helped Thunderbolt.
I think that Apple.
That's the only reason Thunderbolt still exists.
Hold on, I think Apple is holding that back right now because I can almost guarantee you the only reason that isn't happening is because of some silly backroom agreement with Apple where it's like, no, we want like a year exclusivity on this PCIe SSD controller thing, whatever.
You could very
Sometimes
well be right.
they do that, but a lot of times they just say, "Hey, what's your production? We're gonna buy exactly that."
Yeah.
So that way no one else can buy parts.
So I say we take PCIe SSD off of here because we don't even really have a name of a controller or a product to.
Well, we have the names of controllers. We don't have products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for us to put it on this list as a website of things that you can buy and use and integrate. If we can't buy it and use it and integrate it,
I guess just.
Well, I mean, how would you?
The best storage device of 2013, Haswell MacBook Air.
Yes.
No.
700 megabytes a second and an Ultrabook for storage I/O.
That's great. but it doesn't make it best. It makes it the fastest.
Well, that's
It doesn't
good.
make it
How
the
about
best.
just 1 terabyte drives for $60?
Oh,
that's
that's
pretty
boring.
awesome.
Yeah.
Would it count for
That's
biggest price
incremental.
or best price drop of 2013 if it
That's
was
just-
because
that's
of a
really
big
just
price
incremental. We'll
get to
increase
that,
in
yeah.
2012?
Yeah.
So
If you like, I would think that the 840 Evo and the slash, not just the 840 Evo, but the 840 Evo performance, and then the 840 Evo, what they did with the pricing, continuously, just like you're talking like these things came out at like $1 a gig, and now you can find them. I mean, it's still like sort of a sale-ish kind of thing, but you're talking like 50, 40 cents a gig for
Yeah.
these things.
yeah.
Yeah, especially the
I
1
think
terabyte.
I think 840 Evo wins this.
That's my vote.
Followed
It's a
by the
good
hybrid.
command.
Do you think? Let me ask you this. The MSATA 1 terabyte. We'll just kind of wrap it up into that. Is there? So we've got two Western Digital products on here: the WD Red and the WD Black 2. Do you think either of those are worth a like runner-up position, or are they both just kind of?
I don't think the Red deserves it because it took Western Digital forever to come out with the 4 terabyte Red. Like, it should have happened a year ago. Just saying. Because like they're making like 4 terabyte green and they like did everything else 4 terabyte
Sure.
black, and they waited until Red.
It was
Wow.
so even if you say it's late though,
But
is
even
it
then,
still
it's
not the de facto drive you recommend for people who are building a NAS?
Sure, I would say Western Digital Red in general, not 4 terabyte.
Yeah.
If you want to go NAS stuff, right? Because 4 terabyte is kind of in the premium, and you'll have people building a NAS where when they buy a 4-bay NAS, the average person that if they're to the point where they're actually going to buy a 4-bay NAS, they're probably going to put like 3 terabytes in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just from what I see.
So
happening.
we could say that they're from a cost per gig aspect, they're not as attractive as a 2 or a 3 terabyte drive.
Yes.
Okay.
And as far as like innovative things coming out of Western Digital, then the Black 2 just takes it,
Yeah.
really. You know.
So you like that product still?
I like it, but you have to realize it's a very specific kind of a thing, right? It's a niche thing. You have to have a laptop that has a standard 2.5-inch bay, only one of them,
You're right.
and you want to use an SSD, and you want to have a lot of capacity at the same time. So if you're in that situation, it's perfect. There's really nothing better out there.
Yeah, it's very unique, that one. All right.
Yes.
So we'll say winner, Samsung 840 EVO, a runner-up in specific use cases, the WD Black 2.
Yep.
Hey, do you have a
Great for
laptop?
niche.
Okay, so we'll move on to some other interesting ones. Best case of 2013, because there's only like 300 of these, so I will say up front, it's like we don't see every case that comes out. Very likely, what we pick, just as Jeremy was talking about earlier in the show when we were talking about the leaderboard, cases are very subjective. We don't see all of them, so we're picking not best case of 2013 that we saw as a group and got our hands on. Subtitle. So here's some of the ones that I had on this list. The EVGA Hadron Air. The Silverstone RVZ01, which none of you know about because I just wrote the article today and it's not up yet. The Corsair Obsidian 750D. The Corsair Carbide Air 540. The Cooler Master Half XB LAN Box. Corsair Obsidian 900D. Corsair Obsidian 350D. Corsair Carbide 200R.
We look at a lot of Corsair cases.
NZXT Phantom 530.
Actually, would you want to include the Steambox case on that? Because it's
We basically did.
That's the RVZ01.
Right.
That I'm going to say no because you can't buy it yet.
well, didn't they release the production to make it yourself or no? Not yet.
No.
No,
I don't think so.
no. I'm going to take the Silverstone RVZ01, which I believe I don't have 100% confirmation is what the Steam box is based on off of that because our review isn't up and it's January 1st and it's not for sale yet. So
Hey, you want to make this easy?
what's that?
Carbide Air 540. I think we all agree
You think it's
on
the
that.
Carbide Air
I
540?
really think we all agree on that.
Yeah, after using that at QuakeCon and just kind of looking at its design, yes, it's kind of a big cube, but it's a nicely spaced out cube, and it's easy
It
to
is.
work on.
Yep.
And it's pretty.
And it's
I
quiet.
abstain.
Okay. I feel bad because we didn't.
The 200R is a great value.
It's a tremendous case for the price. I feel bad because we've got over here, we have the Cooler Master stacker still in its box that we didn't like actually take out.
Can you actually
use
even
yet.
buy that now?
I think you can buy it. I don't know. To put it in perspective, last year's winner of this category was the Cooler Master Cosmos 2, right? And so it's interesting to see like mini ITX designs, full size ATX designs, and then you've got like the Cosmos 2 or the 900D. So do we want to consider the 900D for just being like super extravagant and enormous and having room for 5 computers inside? And obviously not, but you know, things like that. Or do you want to say like, hey, Carbide 200R is a good case at a good value. What is it? $60?
We've been recommending it a
$90.
lot lately.
Yeah,
and it's
a lot
like
of people
on
have
sale
bought it.
constantly for $49.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no problem with that case. I like it. Looks like
I use it at work all the time, and it's
do you?
fantastic.
I guess I don't know. You know,
I really like the 350D this year. I think it's
that was a micro ATX.
Yeah, it's MATX.
Yeah. It has a big window on the side, right? It's a good quality system.
Yeah.
You know, I do like the thinking of outside of the box with the Air 540.
Yep.
And I think runner-up could be the 200R just because it's got the SSD bays. It's easy to work on. You know, for as small of a case it is, it feels pretty spacious inside, and they've laid it out really, really nicely. And everything's like powder-coated, baked on, no sharp corners. Just fit and finish of that case is pretty phenomenal.
Any other thoughts from anybody else? Again, this is one of those issues. Is like how many cases do we actually, you know, if you're not actually reviewing cases, how many cases do you actually see? Can be a problem. Anybody? Nobody? Did everybody else get disconnected?
Nope.
No, I'm here,
Nope.
but I don't have any opinion.
Okay.
I'm still rocking a Cooler Master Stacker 820, I think it is, from
Nice.
like 2004.
That's the thing about cases. You don't need to replace them very often.
Right.
Yeah, well, there are some things like, first off, I'm missing some pieces on it. But there's
yeah.
also some things
no.
I would like to, get USB 3 and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's just not one of those things. Especially when you use your own power supply. I mean, there's not really much you can do with the case.
Yep.
It's nice and clean, but I mean,
Fair enough.
I don't go in my case as much as I used to because I used to have really bad problems with power.
Well, if you want to know, if we want to get to a category that's incredibly, like, esoteric, how about we do best motherboard of 2013? We're not even going to say best AMD or best Intel. We're just going to say best motherboard. And here's some of the options that I put on the list, but there are literally dozens of boards that we could have put on here. The EVGA Stinger Z87 Mini ITX, the MSI Z87 X Power, the MSI Z87 M Power,
But they all knew.
the Gigabyte Z87X OC Force, the Asus Z87 Pro, MSI Z77A G45 Thunderbolt. I didn't realize that was this year.
That won last year.
Did it?
Yeah, that won last year.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
disqualified.
Yeah, no, that won last year.
Oh, I had a really cool argument for that.
No, it won. You had a really cool argument last year because it won.
All right, well, good job, Ryan. Gigabyte G1 Sniper A88X and the Asus Crosshair 5 Formula Z. Those last two being AMD motherboards, the rest of them being Intel motherboards. Now, also we had the the G1 Sniper 5 and the Asus Maximus 6 Extreme. These are some options from Maury. Maury's not on the show, but I did ask him to email us some bullet points for his. So his 3 favorite motherboards for the year were the Z87X OC Force from Gigabyte, the Gigabyte G1 Sniper 5, and the Asus Maximus 6 Extreme. And these are all high-end Intel-based boards. The Maximus 6 Extreme is an X79 board. Let me mention here. So, for example, on the Z87X OC Force, He liked that it had 16-phase power, a very spacious layout, lots of integrated devices, hybrid cooling for the VRMs, option of air or water, active cooling for both VRM and chipset heatsinks, dual Intel NICs, and it has that pretty cool orange and black BIOS design that has like the HD mode or whatever. The G1 Sniper 5 also had 16-phase power, a spacious layout, lots of integrated devices, hybrid cooling for the VRMs, chipset heatsink, and underboard lighting. Underboard lighting!
Got an underglow kit for my motherboard.
Integrated sound hardware, including the op-amp port. That's that board. And then the Maximus 6 Extreme from Asus, design and layout, red and black coloration, integrated M2 SSD support.
I think that's not a perk.
MPCIe Combo 2 card, inclusion of the OC panel, which is kind of that external overclocking and control device, and again, the feature set of lots of integrated devices.
And a CMOS battery.
And a CMOS battery. And a good location. So what do you guys think? Again, this is completely out there, this just for fun kind of discussions again, but what do you think?
Okay, you know the interesting thing about this one?
No. I don't.
It's like $119. What are the other ones you're talking about?
What is the one you're talking about? The G1 Sniper?
The G1 Sniper A80, and it's even got the whole op amp thing going.
Oh, does
you
it?
can swap
Okay.
out, and nice. You can do the 6x ohms. I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, for headphone.
Yep.
The really cool thing about that board is that the supplier for DFI's slots found someone to sell them to now.
Yeah.
The neon green.
Fluorescent green.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's good.
So
that's
happy.
good for the industry.
So
What about the Crosshair 5 Formula Z you put on here?
if you're looking for an AM3 Plus motherboard, that's probably really one of the best ones out there. It's got good audio. It's got everything, almost everything under the sun except one of the M2 slots that who was that ASRock put out?
Asus has them on their Intel side on some of them.
Yeah, but they don't have it on the AM3 Plus side.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean it's a really solid board. They have a lot of technology in there, and it overclocks well. They've got that whole T thing for memory, so you can really overclock the memory and not have to worry about trace length being an issue.
Yeah.
Overall, and plus they've got that whole red line that keeps the audio separate from everything else. It's a nice board. It's feature packed, and it's only $200, $224.
Yeah, I like you said $110 on the A80X, A88X.
Like $119.
Okay.
So I don't want to be the one to bring it up, but what processor are you going to put in it?
Well, probably Kaveri here in about 3 weeks.
I guess, but I don't really think like.
Well,
we don't
Richland
know.
wasn't bad, and for its space,
I guess.
what can you do? I don't know.
And I would like to have an honorable mentions go to the anti-dust shield of the ECS Golden.
Oh man!
Oh yeah, the
video.
ECS ADS. Yeah,
We gotta-
oh, yeah.
You're right.
Well,
yeah.
we have to watch this.
Unfortunately, that was 2012.
Yeah. Oh, why isn't this loading?
Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, well, okay. Here, let me just say this: if I were to buy a computer today using last year's technology, it probably would not be an AMD product.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
We're being distracted. Oh, wait, here.
Here, I'm still playing music, by the way.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Let me pause that music.
Oh no, you ruined it.
All right.
Roll back on that.
To what to there? Man, YouTube, you're on top of stuff.
This is such an anticlimax.
Look at that.
Look at all that dust.
Yeah, dust.
Wait, did you skip ahead of the part where they actually blow all the stuff on there?
Yeah,
Now you know the importance of
Why would you do that? That's part of the fun.
We always hit.
Here we go.
best motherboard
Yeah,
in a
let me pour
2012.
talcum powder on my computer while it's running. Look at all that dust.
ECS ADS Anti-Dust Shield live demo. All right. So what do we do for this? This is the hardest one for me because motherboards all kind of perform the same when it comes right down to it, right? For like stock performance or close to the same. So it's all about usability. I've been a big fan of what ASUS has done in terms of usability and the software packages that they've included. AI Suite has really turned into a useful combination of tools. I don't know.
Intel has finally gotten their act together in terms of chipsets with the Z87.
Have they?
Started. Well, they haven't like kneecapped them like they have previously.
I mean, it's 6 out of 6 ports instead of 2 now. Yay.
Yeah, that's
right?
kind of big.
I'm looking at Maury's list here, and of these 3, the Z87X OC Force, the G1 Sniper 5, and the Maximus 6 Extreme. The idea of underboard lighting and hybrid cooling, air or water, for your VRMs.
It makes you feel like a 1990s
It does.
gangbanger.
Yeah, but with motherboards.
Yeah.
I'm torn between that, plus this one has the op-amp port. That's pretty cool. I'm torn between the G1 Sniper 5 and the Maximus 6 Extreme because it has the M2 SSD, the MPCIe combo card, and the OC panel versus the air or water cooling of VRMs, underboard lighting, and the op-amp port.
I got nothing.
Anybody?
Well, since it doesn't come with rims, I don't think the backlighting should win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you take the lighting out, you're talking about hybrid air or water cooling for the VRMs and an op-amp port against the M2 SSD support, MPCIe combo card, and OC panel.
I would go with the Asus on that one.
You think you go with the Asus?
Yeah.
It's tough because, again, we're talking about different platforms here as well. That would give it to the Asus Maximus 6 Extreme. And then maybe we go with Josh's like low price Gigabyte A88X.
Sure.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, it's got an op-amp in it.
Ooh,
It does.
op-amp.
It does have and a switchable op-amp.
Right.
And in fact, it's got these 2 little dip switches on there.
Ooh, tips.
Right here that you can switch up and down depending on what kind of audio mode you want to do. So
Again, that's so tough. There's so many options there.
It's gold.
Fair enough.
Look at those caps. Look at them.
They're gold.
Rubbing the caps.
All right, here we go. Best price drop of 2013. We have the AMD Radeon R9 GPUs. We can pick a specific one if you want, like the 280X. Because I think that was the one that actually had the most dramatic price drop when it was released.
Yeah, from like what, $550 to
it went down to $299. I think it was probably $499.
yeah, I
Most
think so.
dramatic price drops at MSRP at least.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that can't win.
Best case scenario. What about SSDs? So I looked it up. Last year's winner was SSDs, and we were bragging about regular pricing of a 128 gig SSD being about $120. So if we go to Amazon.com and look up,
Now it's like a terabyte on and off for $400.
yeah, if we look
like-
at the Samsung Evo 500, it's $329. The 750 is $482, and the 1 terabyte is $584.
That's actually kind of high because when it does go on sale,
These are their normal prices. Yeah.
yeah.
So now the 120 gig drive is $99. Not actually that much cheaper, is it? But the 250 is $162. So
next year we're gonna have 25 cents per gig SSDs at this
I
rate.
hope so. So
I don't know.
anybody else have any other options to put on this list? SSDs.
Well, the
or-
thing is, it was kind of introduced at the same time, but 4K was a pretty hefty price drop. We went down from, the Sony TV was
$20,000.
20 grand
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We're now down to the C key where I think it was like, what, $500?
39 inch. Yeah.
For 39 inch.
Yeah, I think
4K.
there was a $500 or $600. Yeah, the 500.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
660.
some serious problems with it, but not problems, but there's
Yeah.
some serious limitations with it.
Okay.
Like 30 frames per second, but that's a huge price drop.
Yep, that's a good point. That's a good one to bring up. The Cat Leap stuff hasn't really gone down again.
It's gone up, if anything.
It's gone up. Yeah, the whole idea of the 25 by 14, 27-inch panels has been static for the whole year. Still good, but static. Processors are not any cheaper. Memory has gone up. Motherboards are not cheaper.
Now with the auto price, now you can get a reasonable, stable supply of
Correct.
Korean.
You don't have to buy it on eBay anymore.
And that's happened, I think it was like March.
How about cables? Cable prices have gone down.
No.
No, they haven't. I've been seeing $1,000 USB cable for DACs going
Thunderbolt
around.
is still not $4. I can't think of anything else. Anybody else come up with any other options for low price? I don't think anything else is really...
Monitors in general, just the 1080p IPS stuff.
Yeah, we had that on the list last year, too.
Well, then not just Cat Leap, but 23-incher
we had
for $99
low-cost
IPS.
Yep.
And why do we think that is? I mean, part of it seems to be that because IPS works so well for mobile, that maybe the entire production of it has gone down in price because they have to make a big thrust of them for one supplier. Maybe it's scaled to other models.
Don't know.
I don't know. How
about the potential elimination of 60 hertz for fresh?
What's that got to do with price drops?
Price drops, dude.
It's got to do with a huge thing I have to install.
Yeah,
that's one large PCB.
We'll talk about that in another category. That's not price drops, Alan. You got the wrong time to pimp your new product.
That's a price increase.
Yeah.
That's a price increase.
It's definitely a price increase. Yeah.
I'm going to need to add a square for Alan has unexpectedly irrelevant product in arm's reach.
Yeah. Should that be the worst trend? It's the best and the worst trend at the same time.
So
I don't know.
Focus on price drop. Here we go. So we've only really got 3 or 4 options on here. The R9 280X. And who thinks that we should include it even though it is higher price now than it was when the 280X was released?
It's hard because when they released it at that price, about a month later, NVIDIA dropped all of their prices. And so now you can get, a nice NVIDIA card for less than
And at the same time, too, I mean, a lot, like just before the R9 and R7 launched, NVIDIA dropped their prices, which caused below what the 7870s and stuff like that were selling for, so it caused the R9s to come in at a lower price. So it's all a cycle back and forth, right?
Hey, you know what? The chat room has a good proposition there. The FX 9590, which debuted at $1,000, you can now get it for less than $300.
That's a gigantic price drop.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, you could.
That's a good option, actually. That's a good item to throw in there.
We could buy an 8350.
So when the 280X launched at $299, how much was the 7970?
It was $399.
Okay, so it was a $100 price drop, or 25%.
Yeah,
on that card.
And that was their entire lineup went down. I mean, the GTX 780, and because of the 290 and 290X, the GTX 780 went to $499.
So you got to give some credit to the 280X for kind of causing that to happen, right?
It was the cascade reaction,
right?
Just like in Half-Life 1.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but again, should we really be that surprised that we're seeing price drops on a 2-year-old product?
No.
Especially only after NVIDIA dropped theirs. I mean...
Yeah, so what the 7970 launch at? 550?
7970 launched at $499. And then the gigahertz edition launched at $549.
Okay. And then it dropped once to
like about
$499.
It eventually kind of came down to $399.
Okay.
When the 280X
price drops
launched,
have taken quite a while.
They did, but the 280X launched, immediately causing a $100 price drop in what was currently available. I don't know.
It seems like a lot of things have been somewhat static as compared to years past, especially with
definitely
processors, graphics, all that stuff. Yeah, $100 price drop, but again, like our good friend Ken said, it was a 2-year-old product.
All right. So what's that leave us with? That leaves us with SSDs again, or 4K panels, or IPS
I
panels,
would go with 4K panels,
or the
Screw it.
FX 9590.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You think 4K panels?
Probably.
Yeah, because
leaning
even
on
though you can
SSDs,
still
but
get the
4K.
$3,000 4K panels, a year ago they were $12,000.
And you had
Yeah,
that
more
medical
than that.
panel in the shop that was what, 15 grand or 20 grand?
Yeah, think of just the Sharp 4K monitor launching this year than the Asus. Like it went from 5,000 to 3,500.
Yeah.
In a course of a couple of months.
So if that's the winner, what takes runners up? We can go with the FX 9590.
You could.
I almost don't want to pick that one because it was such a horrible
Product in the first place.
Well, it was just like it was so poorly handled. Like we're going to launch this $900 product.
I'm not even sure it's even retail product.
Why would you ever do that? Who would buy that? So that leaves SSDs again.
No, I would say just video cards in general after 4K panels, because we did see some nice drops, even though we haven't seen a big increase in performance. Namely, because nobody can keep up with Intel and process technology. In fact, not even Intel can keep up with themselves in product process technology.
All right, we'll do
But
that.
at the same time, too, I mean, video cards dropped because they were stagnant for so long. They spent quite a bit of time at a high price.
What about, so I have this category in here, and I don't know if this is something we even want to dive into too much, because I don't know if a lot of us have used all of these devices as well, but best mobile device. We have the iPhone 5S, we have the Galaxy S4, we have the Nexus 7 2013 edition, we have the NVIDIA Shield, we have the iPad Air, and we have whatever else you guys can think of.
Actually, none of us have used all of these devices on the regular.
I think you and I have used all of these devices.
Yeah.
Right? So the 5S, the S4, the Nexus 7, NVIDIA Shield, iPad Air.
I really don't think it's the S4. It cannot be the 5S as well, but I don't think it's the S4.
I don't think it's the S4 or the 5S.
I don't think there's any reason for it to be the 4.
What do you guys think about giving an award to the Shield? It's not a big selling product.
I think it's gaining momentum somehow. I keep seeing it mentioned everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. I keep seeing it like actually being talked about, which I don't
I go to
believe.
GameStop and it's like we shall shield. we shall shield.
So it's
By
being
the seashore?
pushed, but are people buying it?
I think it might actually be a thing.
You think so?
It might actually
Shield
be.
reminds me of glass.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. You know what? If you want to just say one thing, it would be the generic tablet that people can get from Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever, for like $199, and
That would be the Nexus 7.
Yeah.
The Nexus 7 is by far the best Android tablet. Maybe not by far, but it's the best Android tablet. It's like $230. It's great hardware, great display, native operating system, frequent updates. It took the original Nexus 7 and improved it. Thinner, lighter, better, faster, stronger, whatever Kanye says. I think I like that product a lot. I just didn't know if maybe we should have a different winner because it is an iterative product as opposed to Shield is interesting, right? So it launched and it's kind of like this launched with this kind of thud, right? Where it was this overpriced thing and sales were very poor, and then they did these price drops, and then they included it in these bundles, and they said, hey, look, we got game streaming to work, and then we've got this console mode to work, and they're doing the software updates for it. Ken says he keeps seeing it mentioned places. I'm assuming you're talking about on the internet?
Yeah, yes, there's this wonderful thing called the internet that I read fairly often. All of it. Yeah.
I don't know.
The Nexus 7 seems like
The winner's
good
definitely
product in terms of build, quality, and price that has now really pushed it into the mainstream with so many cell carriers around the world.
It's definitely the winner.
It's so interesting to compare that to like the Nexus 7 that I own versus the iPad Air that I own. Now, admittedly, I bought one of the more expensive iPad Airs because I wanted LTE. But $229 versus like $729, $500 difference for the if you take like apps, OS specific apps out of it, the experience difference you get is not worth $500 for sure.
They're two completely different devices. A 10-inch tablet is completely different from a 7-inch tablet. They have completely different use cases.
I do not think they're completely different use cases. I think there are some different use cases. I would use an Nexus 7 to read, and I would not use an iPad Air necessarily to read. But I think the biggest differentiator is not their size, but is the operating system and kind of how you integrate well with either one of those. So I think the iPad Air is a great device. Battery life is amazing. Is
there anything?
The unlock or the
fingerprint reader.
What do you call it? Just got jailbreak for it. Just came out.
Doesn't have a fingerprint reader.
It does not have a fingerprint reader.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It does not. We can leave this without a runner-up option.
Well, I think Shield would be a good runner-up option because, all those things you said about it. I mean, it's a nice piece of hardware. It's not overly expensive for what you get. And the biggest thing is the software support that NVIDIA is giving it in terms of updates and also all the streaming capabilities and all the value-added stuff that they're trying to push through in software as fast as they can to be able to sell these products.
There's also the Transformer T100.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I guess for some reason I didn't put that as a mobile device. I was thinking more cell phones, tablets, but it is.
It's a tablet.
If I do this, it becomes a tablet.
Now it's a tablet.
Okay. Bay Trail for the win.
I wonder if that's actually something ASUS engineers would be looking over you for, be like, he doesn't consider a mobile device. Did we get our design down right?
That is kind of a surprising mobile device.
What were you saying?
You're not going to be like, oh, you have the device, right? Thinking, oh, it's a laptop, right?
Yeah, you don't expect that to be a mobile device, but it actually is.
So I'm wondering if ASUS designers are like, we did it right.
I don't know.
You can tear it apart, and it works like a mobile device.
I think maybe I don't think it beats Nexus 7 in terms of.
Oh, what I was saying. I was just saying that I'm wondering if ASUS designers were like, that was what we were trying to go for. We were trying to make people not.
It beats it as far as how much software it runs.
It's a pretty good price point.
Was it $399?
Yeah, $350, I think.
Depending on which capacity you get.
You can get that thing for $350.
Really?
$350, and it runs all Windows apps.
And I mean, as much as I'm not, an Apple user and stuff like that, we do need to give, and then we have been giving a nod to Apple for various aspects in this category because the Apple offerings are not that bad. I mean, they're higher priced, but
they're not higher priced.
Well, I mean,
they are.
No, they're not.
$499 for an iPad.
Buy a 10-inch Android tablet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple mobile devices are the same price as everyone else. Okay, maybe the iPad Mini is a little more expensive.
The iPad Mini is definitely more expensive than the Nexus 7.
No, I'm not talking about like $500 2 gigabytes of RAM more expensive like their laptops used to be. But I mean, they do have a bit of a premium from what I've seen, and maybe like $20-$50.
Maybe. Yeah, you can get the Asus T100 at Walmart.com for $379 with 64 gigs of.
And it comes with Office
memory, and it comes with Office 2013 Home and Student.
That's $380 for a 10-inch tablet.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good mobile device.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So does it win and Nexus 7 gets runner-up?
I don't know which one wins.
I think those are the two for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think the Asus T100 wins because it takes a form factor that we all thought was garbage. Or we all had this stereotype of slow, clunky.
Yeah, netbook.
And it improves it yet again.
I don't think
even if you take like the Asus VivoBook that we had that was Windows RT based, it's the exact same form factor as this. Almost, right? Except it has battery in the base of it. Yeah. But I never wanted to use it because it was Windows RT.
I don't think you're making the right argument. I think the form factor has kind of been proven with the Transformer stuff they did on Android. This proved that a Windows tablet doesn't have to suck at $350.
That's true.
Okay. And I think Nexus 7 2013 is iterating on what it did on 2012. Yeah, like it makes it better again, but we kind of already knew about that.
What about the Nexus 5?
I think it's a good device, but I don't think it's...
Think of how much it costs off contract.
Yeah.
That's a big thing to some people.
Yeah, but to some people, I'd say the strong majority of people don't buy off contract. I don't know. I don't want to put that in there. It's the Nexus 5 is a really, really good device. If I could put it on Verizon, it would be my primary phone. Hey, there's my negative for it. I can't put it on the network I want to put it on.
Moto X?
Never used it, so I can't just say that. All right, so we'll do that. Okay. All right, we're down to our last two here. Unless you guys have other categories you want to throw in at the end. Best trend of 2013. Here are some of the options. 4K, SteamOS or Steam machines, new cryptocurrencies, small form factor, home theater PCs, mini ITX designs, Nook, even smaller than small form factor PCs, so Nook, the Gigabyte bricks, that type of stuff, Thunderbolt, and new PC gaming features. I didn't really know what to call this, but the idea of what the AMD Raptor stuff is doing, what NVIDIA's GeForce Experience is doing with streaming, recording, kind of, auto configuring your game settings, that kind of stuff. So I can just call it like new PC gaming features. So those are some of the ideas for trends that I had. What do you guys have?
First thing I want to say is that D and B, I really think, are basically the exact same thing when it comes to SteamOS versus home theater PCs. I mean,
no, they're not. No, not even close. No. People build mini ITX machines to put Windows on it, right?
Correct, but home theater PC or SteamOS really, I think, is just going at the same angle, right?
Well, I think SteamOS is going after home theater PCs. They want to be the living room gaming PC, and I think that's different than people. I looked at the mini ITX as not necessarily that people wanted it to be in the living room, but that people just wanted to have smaller computers, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're separate. I would say the SteamOS Steam machine is like a subset of people wanting smaller computers, not necessarily that they want them in their living room, I guess I would say, as opposed to just wanting smaller computers.
And I think it's more, well, when it comes to SteamOS, I think it's more that Valve is looking at the home theater people who want support from Microsoft and are not getting it. And they say,
yeah, agreed.
How about, you did forget one big thing.
What was that?
Free data backup courtesy of the U.S. government.
As he's typing.
I was seriously typing that as a guess. Free data backup. What's he going to from the? Oh, and no, not a real one. Nope.
That could work for our next category.
And since you typed that into the show notes, Ryan, now
it didn't matter anyway.
Sweet.
Any other trends?
I think Thunderbolt belongs in the worst trends.
It's not the worst trend. It's not a good one. It's not the worst.
It's not the worst. It's just like the slowest.
It's a good trend.
It's just unfortunate.
The trend is just not very trendy.
It's just a train wreck.
Focus on the good ones. What are the best? Any other trends I'm missing? Like 802.11 AC. Is that a good trend? That doesn't seem like it's really caught on. Any kind of significant
hasn't caught on a whole lot
thing.
Yeah.
Raspberry Pi and all the kit computers that have sort of made a big inroads the last year.
Worth mentioning, Arduino, I guess, could be in that same thing. But
one that's worth mentioning is, for some reason, 2013 seems to be a good year for internet access. I mean, if I can get good internet access,
I did just get 56K. It's worth. I mean, it could be. I would say, like if Google Fiber had launched in 25 places in 2013, I'd agree with you, and it would probably be up there. But
and we're getting some other people who are competing with it too. Like it's not just Google.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
The Internet of Things.
No, we're not putting the Internet of Things down.
That will be next 2 weeks from now. 1 week now.
I think 4K's got it.
No, I don't think it does.
I think it's a little early to say it's got it.
I don't know.
Okay,
I mean,
here's one that we have not talked about.
Okay.
Is that, all the Google apps through your browser. Office 365. All the applications that you use pretty much every day, you can get either for very, very cheap or for free. And it's really become superfluous this year as compared to years past.
You mean cloud-based?
I mean, we've been talking about the cloud for ages, but actual working applications that do what they promise to do. I think that finally hit in 2013.
No more, very few locally installed applications, internet applications are taking over. Like I say that's true, but it's been that way for a while for me. There are very few applications I had to install on my laptop when I buy a new laptop. Like Photoshop and Office is pretty much it. I probably don't need to install Office anymore if I use Google Docs or whatever Microsoft's equivalent there is. But
Office 365, And wasn't this the time that was this year or last year that Google Apps actually stopped being free for businesses?
This year.
I think it was this past year. It's still free up to a certain number of certain capacity.
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm just grandfathered in.
We're grandfathered in.
Yeah, you can't register a free account anymore.
On Google Apps, seriously?
Correct.
Yeah, they pulled the plug.
Wow.
For personal, I think you can do some stuff.
What do you guys think about...
Yeah, I thought it was free up to 10 users. 10 accounts.
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think...
Crowdfunding.
Yeah. I think...
How about the best trend also is the lack of process technology improvement from everyone, which has caused major roadblocks in product development.
Let's put that in the next one below. Again, come on. I think I kind of originally came into this thinking like SteamOS was going to be a good trend. I think the best trend is small computers. And that can include some of the Steam machines that will come out. But the idea of, EVGA releasing a mini ITX case, Silverstone releasing a new mini ITX case, you've got, I don't know how many system builders tried to send us mini ITX-based systems this year. You get the Alienware X51, Digital Storm, all those guys released small form factor systems. You've got the Nook, that could include that as well. I built a Nook computer for my dad so that he could set it on, the shelf next to his TV and do flight simulator stuff. I feel like that has been the biggest kind of push in this year.
So what you just did was combine like 5 of them.
Well, so I have SFF HCCP Mini ITX as one. And then if we wanted, I would kind of, I guess I did. So SteamOS doesn't necessarily have to be installed on a small computer.
I don't think it should be installed.
Right.
On any computer.
Nook is a subset of like a small form factor PC, but it's a very, very specific one. And I think its expansion is the result of expanded interest in small computers.
That's true, because if you look at all the major companies, they have made a significant effort in getting TDPs down, yet still having usable performance across their entire line.
I mean, and you look at, even if you go, higher end products, right? So Asus released the, the small form factor graphics card. MSI has the Mini ITX GTX 760. Yeah. Right. So there's this push towards people want stuff like really compelling x86 performance in a small tablet form factor, or they want really compelling gaming performance in a small form factor. Then I feel like that's what, not everybody. It's not, still some people love their big machines. I am one of them, but I think that's been my favorite trend, my most compelling trend.
It's kind of hard, lugging your computer out to your living room if it's weighing 50 pounds and in a 900D.
Yeah, put that shit on a roller.
Yeah.
So what about x86 consoles? That's a pretty good trend.
Okay, you might have a pretty good point there because it go under the whole APU thing and
Mantle.
I don't know how I consider that a trend though. It's just like just what happened. I don't know.
Listen to what you just said.
I guess
It's a shift in the industry that we saw this year.
Well, they were slowly doing it more and more. Like last generation, they were going.
Yeah, I guess
it's more on the graphics side. The processor side, but they're still trying to do some crazy shit there. But I'm on language, of course. But on the graphics side, they're like, you know what, it's going to cost too much for us to make our own method that we have to then teach developers how to use and stuff like that.
Well, that's half true. Sony just failed at it.
I know. Yeah.
well, let me throw this at you. That the technology that the consoles are based on is not as important anymore as it used to be. And now it's the user experience for consoles because now you have a slower Xbox One, but it has some really interesting multimedia value. And then you got the much faster PS4, and they haven't quite fleshed out the entire software and user experience on.
Okay. Okay, fine. x86 consoles. Then can I get a small computer?
Not the winner.
Yeah, how about your Google Glass?
No, it's not.
Next topic.
There's nothing trendy about that.
Not the best trend if you want to return it. Okay, so we'll go that way. x86 consoles. Best trend. It will mean good things for PC gaming. What about worst trend? I also have on here, the only two I have on here are big cases. It's kind of like the opposite of the small computer side. Or GPU shortages because of mining.
We can come up with a lot of bad
Smartwatches.
Oh.
Hey, all right, what else you got?
Hey, guess what?
Wearable computing, yeah.
I don't like my smartwatch that much.
You think, okay, wearable computing.
Snapchat.
What about
Josh,
something like hardware based?
I'm going to get you to sign up for Snapchat in Vegas.
We're
going to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's
He'll be drunk enough.
It's secure now. It's
saw
fine.
the security breach from
Oh,
earlier today,
it's
right?
fine.
So what else? What else can we put on this list? What is a bad trend? GPU
Poorly
shortages.
thought out social networking.
No, hardware. We're thinking hardware, or at least computing based here.
man.
I liked. What did you mention earlier? Stalled process technology.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I even worded it well. I thought about earlier putting on.
NSA BIOS hacks?
Come on.
That's a pretty bad
Come on.
trend for
It's a very poor
2013
trend.
and beyond.
What about? I thought about putting on like variable clock components because of all the crap that happened with AMD in Hawaii and how much trouble it got them into.
I don't think it's a
Yeah,
bad
but if
thing.
you look back at what NVIDIA and AMD and Intel have done with boost clocks, this has been like the first stall issue.
I know. I just feel like
That all happened last year, too. Boost clocks, variable clocks, and GPUs.
Oh no, boost clocks have been around since.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean Turbo
Yeah.
Boost was around for a long
Adam?
time, but
No, I'm talking in GPUs.
yeah.
But it is a good trend though, because it used to be you had to be careful with your GPU, otherwise it would cook itself.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, it can downclock itself if you go a little too aggressive, but it'll still keep its highest performance it can.
What's a bad trend? Thunderbolt?
EA.
No.
Thunderbolt's not a bad trend.
Big Brother.
Come on.
I just keep going back
Focus.
on
I know
that.
you
It's a
do. Stop
horrific-
it. We got this is our last topic and then we can be done for the entire of 2014.
Litecoins.
Litecoins.
Entire 2014.
Yeah. I kind of have that GPU shortages because of mining. I don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of relates it back into hardware.
Oh, come on. We gotta. We can
Alan,
always
you
think
got
of bad
no
stuff.
negative hardware trends like
Well, I mean, it's so how niche do you want to go? I mean, you can think of many bad trends. as we
How
already
about
have.
leading SSD companies overextending themselves and crashing their own market?
No, that happened way long ago. It just
Oh,
caught
okay.
up
That
to them
wasn't-
now.
And then also
That was a bad trend, though.
Hey, look, it's Reese.
One company kind of.
No, I can't see. They can see your tail.
Yeah, Reese got up for that one. OCC, what?
Negative trends. Like enormous gaming laptops.
That's
I don't
not
know.
really a trend.
It's not even a
it's been
bad
around
trend.
a
I
long
mean, like
time.
say, big cases. It's there if you want them.
How about $150 keyboards?
That's an excellent.
I'll take
trend.
that one.
Okay, yeah, I agree there.
Yep.
That's so dumb.
I'll
Well,
take that one.
If you want them, they're
we're-
there,
we're
and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a trend. It's not like people are saying all keyboards must be meant mechanical. You can't have anything else.
Hey, guess
I mean-
what? The trend of people buying mechanical and good keyboards is a good trend.
Okay,
That's
I think
true,
I've
but
got
they're too
the
expensive
excellent- the best one yet.
Okay.
Free games with microtransactions.
Oh,
Ooh, good
okay,
one.
yeah, we're talking
They've,
about
they have
Oh,
grown
yeah.
dramatically over this past year.
Kill that with
don't
I
have a-
disagree. They're nuts.
I don't have a problem with free games with microtransactions. I have a problem with non-free games with microtransactions. Hey,
It has to be like there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it, and we're seeing some pretty
I don't-
bad ways of doing it.
yeah,
They can
look,
get even
look,
worse
look,
than they
look,
have
look.
been.
I don't really want to get into it. Like that's a game podcast discussion, and I want to focus on hardware again.
Well, if you want to
Think
go
about
for,
it.
I think it was last year was Intel, where it was buy hardware with microtransactions, where you had to buy a card to overclock it.
Yeah. I don't.
I think it was last year though.
We haven't had anything like that.
Yeah, I think
This
they
year,
kind of
have
stopped
we?
that.
yeah, not really.
What about anything on the phone or tablet market that's bad trend? Like, how about non-standardized screen resolutions?
But we're getting higher resolution
That's a pain in
displays.
the ass. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those. That's what happens when someone
It could have
decides,
been on
hey,
best
maybe people
trends.
want this. They see some traction. People then says, Wild West, there's gold over here. Let's go and try every possibility and see which one sticks.
Yeah.
And
We
then
can make
after
a
a while,
panel.
a couple do stick, and they stick with them, right? So,
Well, why can't cryptocurrency be part of the bad trend? Because
Oh,
that's,
it's definitely a bad trend. Well,
yeah. Because what bitcoins were $29 at the lowest.
I didn't
and
say
then
it wasn't
suddenly
bad.
They went up to $1,000, $1,200.
I just am saying that we need to relate it to hardware. So GPU shortages because of mining
that's a pretty terrible trend.
Okay, fine.
is kind of
That works because
I like
instead
that
of buying a $299 280X,
they're screwing us
I
all
have
over.
to get.
I think that's going to win
419.
that. Let me ask you this on the best trend. I thought of something that we didn't have up here before, and I think this was a 2013 trend. What about high DPI displays?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Because iPhone had it, and now we have Android tablets that have it. We have laptops that have them. Smartphones
maybe it should replace 4K.
that have them.
Well, it's the same
people are
thing
not
as 4K.
they are not
Yeah.
getting the utilization out of those as compared to just a standard DPI. I mean, yes, it looks slightly better, but
Depending on the software, and that's the kind of the problem is there hasn't been
Yeah,
enough
that's-
software.
hey,
3800
really-
by 1800 resolution screen looks great. Like on, in a
that one's-
14-inch size.
that
It
one's-
still
Or
looks
text.
great.
For text.
Yeah.
The 2DS is not the worst trend, Curtis.
So let me ask you this. So back on the best trend, the winner we had was x86 consoles, runner-up smaller computers, mini ITX, that kind of stuff.
which are kind of the same thing, right?
No.
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 There's overlap, but
x86 consoles being it's
Small
the best
computers.
trend. No. Well, it's because of how it affects development and the hardware ecosystem. Do we want is high DPI display? Does that need to be on that list? Replace one of those. Take the win.
No, yeah, I think high DPI displays are actually becoming less popular because of price and perceived value.
What?
I don't understand that at all.
They're paying a higher price for these higher DPI
Correct. Yep.
panels, but people are not reacting to them or really experiencing a significant increase in their actual usage of products with these high DPI panels.
And the same token too, you see a lot of people who are, the general public saying like, "Oh, it's got Retina display," right? So it's
What does that mean? I don't know.
exactly, but I mean, they are reacting well to it. I mean, even for a while, I worked in a electronics store, and people.
My Nexus 5 here has a 1920 by 1080 screen that has a pixel density of 480 DPI.
That's kind of ridiculous.
480 DPI on that?
According to this pretty awesome application I'm running, yes.
Is
Nice.
that application called Math?
It's called CPU Identifier.
1080p screen, 5 inches.
Okay, that'd be it. Yeah.
Makes cool sound effects too.
Cool little bird chirpy sounds.
It's supposed to be electronic. I don't get it. So, all right, we'll leave that as it is. Maybe honorable mention because Josh is a curmudgeon for high DPI. He likes his pixels large because he's old and he can't see very far. It's just
I don't have
small.
bifocals yet.
not yet. Now you know what I'm bringing to CES for him. I guess that's it. Do we have any?
No, we forgot one category.
What?
Best website of the year.
Josh Tech.
Yeah, JoshTech.com.
Yeah. All right, I'll put that at the bottom here so I don't forget to put that in the story. Best website. JoshTech.com.
PCBR.com/podcast.
Runner up, PCBR.com/podcast.
.com/podcast.
Yeah, well, whatever. All right, so that's our best hardware discussion of the year. Again, kind of pointless, but fun to do. Where we have our best graphics card of the GTX 780, our best CPU as a Intel Bay Trail, best storage Samsung 840 Evo, best case Corsair Carbide Air 540, best motherboard Asus Maximus 6 Extreme, best price drop 4K panels, best mobile device Asus T100. Best trend, x86 consoles. Worst trend, GPU shortages because of coin mining. Best website, JoshTech.com. I think that does pretty good.
It does.
That's the end of 2013. We can officially write it off as being useless now, as we charge forward into the second day of 2014, which I'm already in. So.
Yeah, this was a rather long podcast.
Long show. And even better, I'm going to see Josh and Alan on
in
Saturday,
real life.
IRL.
Ugh.
Oh, we're going
AFK.
to share
I'll even bathe.
share a hotel suite. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be awesome.
Do I get to sleep with Ken this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. Your pick.
I
Your
suddenly
pick.
became busy.
I think that's illegal unless you go out of Vegas and into the more upstate Nevada.
Oh, yeah, true. So don't forget,
money involved here,
PCPer.com/CES is where all of our CES coverage will be. We'll be out there starting Saturday. I don't think we'll have any coverage on Saturday.
No, we usually do a day zero podcast.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can see what we do there. Sunday, Josh and I have some meetings to go to. I think
One or
Alan
two.
is Storage Visions on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's a good day for you and Ken to go to Storage Visions because Josh and I will be occupied at some other meetings. So, and then we'll have podcasts
for
throughout
Ken.
the week that you'll find at PCPer.com/podcast. And again, go to PCPer.com/subscribe to sign up for our mailing list where you can get notified when we attempt to record the shows live in the evenings as well. So, with that being said, thank you guys for joining us. Sorry that it had the late start and then the late run afterwards. Welcome to 2014. Happy New Year to everybody. And we'll see you in a few days, I guess. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
I'm Scott Michaud.
And there are way too many people on the
Bye.
podcast.
Let's see if this crashes at all. Yay.
Yay.